Hi, I'm Hannah and I'm autistic and have ADHD along with some other disabilities. In this video I want to talk about how important computer games are to my mental health, and I'll take you through my top 10 favourite games of all time, the games that kept my ADHD entertained the longest. Novelty is a really important factor for my mental health, in particular my ADHD. Boredom is physically painful, and I can't do one thing for too long before I start to feel uncomfortable, disinterested, and even panicky. If there is nothing I'm interested in doing, it feels like the world has ground to a halt and time won't continue unless I find something to do that doesn't feel torturous, and that is honestly terrifying for me. Video games offer highly stimulating interaction that keeps my attention and offers up lots of novelty and enjoyment for my mental health. But I can't play any one game forever. The bigger the game, the greater the replayability and inclusion of updates, expansions and mods helps me to be able to play a game for longer. Another factor for me in choosing games is my chronic migraines. I can't play most first-person games because they trigger migraines. Even some third-person games can trigger them too. It's very frustrating that I'm limited in that way. Because of this, and because of my potential to be bored by short or slow games, finding a new game interest can be stressful. I have tried many more games than I have enjoyed, but I still have a nice list of games I like, and the nice thing is that though I do get bored of these games, I can go back to them months or even years after I put them down and enjoy them all over again. During this introduction, you've seen the 3 games that I've given honourable mentions to. They didn't make the top 10, but I've still had a blast playing them. Those were Outlanders, Roots of Pacha, and Fabledom. Now, here are my top 10 favourite games of all time, counting down from the one I've played the least to my absolute favourite, the one I've played the most. Number 10 is Echoes of the Plum Grove on Steam, which I have played for a total of 77.7 hours. I actually struggled to get into this game when it was first released. I think that is because I really don't like wandering through a game trying to work out how to play. I much prefer to watch and read tutorials and scour wikis to learn everything I can. I had a second go at playing this game a few months after release when there were a few guides out and I fell in love with it. Echoes of the Plum Grove is so unique, the art style is cute and novel, and while the survival aspects can be tricky, I found the challenge fun. Plus, no combat. This was always a plus for me. I enjoyed learning how to keep my character fed and healthy, and how to make and keep relationships with the local population. By the time I got tired of it and stopped playing, I had a big, nicely ordered garden, a big house, farm animals, and a wife and 3 kids. I hope to go back to this game and finish that playthrough. Moving to play it as my heir sounds exciting. Number 9 is Clanfolk on Steam, which I played for 129.1 hours. Clanfolk is a town management game where you control a small Scottish clan as they learn how to survive and thrive. At first, the complexity of this game overwhelmed me a little, but I persevered and watched and read every tutorial I could get my hands on. Through playing, I learned even more, and I have a few videos on my channel about what I learned. This game has good replayability as you can change the world and people you start with, and plan out different kinds of settlements. It's an early access game, but it feels like it could be complete. Still, there's more updates to come before its full release, so I hope to get back to it in the future when one of those updates catches my eye. Number 8 is House Flipper on Steam at 143.6 hours. House Flipper is all about cleaning, fixing and redesigning houses to sell. I think this is the only first-person game on this list. I'm not sure why my migraines are mostly okay with playing it. I say mostly because I do get minor headaches from playing it, but I'm usually so enthralled that I ignore them. I absolutely love this game. I found the jobs where you clean and paint to be soothing, almost cathartic, and the decorating was so varied and fun. The DLCs add great things to it, and the Steam Workshop is amazing. All the little deco items you can get from other players really add realism and depth to the game. I know there is a House Flipper 2 out now, and I have tried it, but aside from the fact that there is no workshop or DLCs yet, my migraines were triggered pretty badly by it. I can't explain why I can play House Flipper 1 but not 2, but I console myself with the fact that House Flipper 1 is still getting a lot of love. Numbers 7 and 6 are My Time at Portia with 191.4 hours, and My Time at Sandrock with 134.1 hours. I'm grouping these 2 games together because Sandrock is a sequel to Portia. I played Portia first and I thoroughly enjoyed myself. I loved the twist on the traditional cozy farming game of being a builder. The world is beautiful and ever expanding, and the storyline is long and detailed, so I was kept interested with each new twist and turn. I also love designing and decorating my workshop, keeping animals, and befriending people and pets, and eventually marrying. Even the combat I found fun because it was just my style of simple hitting with little consequence if you die. I have actually restarted Portia at least 3 times because I get to a point late in game where it gets a bit grindy and I start to lose interest. Then a while later when I want to get back into it, I don't remember what I was doing, so I start again. That's a bad habit that I hope to break so I can finally finish the story. I love Sandrock a lot too for similar reasons. It's even better than Portia and different enough to feel novel. I have the same problem with it though. I have restarted because I forgot what I was up to. But this time I have written down what I was doing, so I hope in the future when I go back to Sandrock and Portia, I can finally finish them. Number 5 is Dinkum on Steam with a total of 333.8 hours. I have a love-fear relationship with Dinkum. I love the world, it's so beautiful, and I love all the many varied things you can do with your time. I love the decorating, the exploring, the farming and collecting. I even like the admittedly flat NPCs because relationships are not a big deal for me in my cozy games. But the one thing I found quite difficult was the combat. It's not that the fighting in itself is that hard, you can learn how to dodge most of the animals' moves. The thing that gets me though, the thing that stresses me out, is not knowing when you're about to be attacked. The number of times I was bumbling along doing something innocuous when suddenly I was bitten on the butt by a croc is embarrassing. And every time it happened, I'd jump and swear and have an adrenaline burst. It was exhausting. And that was just normal gameplay. Going down into the deep mines where you can't even see much was way too stressful for me. But I found a way to save the game for me: mods. There are some fantastic mods available on Nexus to make Dinkum as cozy as you'd like. My favourite is a mod that stops animals from attacking you until you attack them. It really takes a weight off my mind and allows me to enjoy Dinkum so much more. I've done 2 big stints of a month-long hyper-focus on Dinkum, and while I have a similar problem to Portia and Sandrock in that I keep restarting instead of completing it, the enjoyment I get far outweighs that little difficulty. And I have finally written down where I'm up to, so I hope that next time I can go back into an old save and finish. I have some guide video ideas for Dinkum too, but I'm not sure how guides showing modded gameplay like a lit up deep mines would come across, so let me know if you think I should do them despite that. Number 4 is RimWorld on Steam, which I have played for 505.2 hours. This is the oddball in my bag of games. Most people wouldn't consider it cozy, and I usually only play cozy games. But there are 2 redeeming features about RimWorld. 1, you can change the settings to make it as easy or as hard as you like. 2, during combat you can pause. This makes the world of difference for my nerves because I can stop and breathe and think and plan what to do next. And having multiple pawns instead of just one killable character helps a lot also. A third point would be that there was a lot of learning to be done about how to play, and though I was overwhelmed at first, I soon dove straight in and spent weeks researching all I could about strategy, both for combat and other parts of the game. There's also a lot of replayability with RimWorld, especially when you add expansions to the mix. And then there's mods. Such a large range of mods, and they're built into the game within Steam, so the game actually helps you manage them. That's a feature I haven't seen in another game yet, and it's so helpful. I've played so many different kinds of colonies in RimWorld, and though I started with little to no combat, I have gotten pretty good at combat strategy, so I am slowly increasing the difficulty. I love RimWorld a lot, and I'm hoping there'll be another expansion this year that will pull me back into it with yet more novelty. That, or I'll find some new fresh mods. Number 3 is the famous Stardew Valley, which I have played for a whopping 1064.9 hours. The mother game, the inspiration for so many cozy games, lured me in as it has so many others. And the number of guides on the internet for it are a large part of why I fell in love with it. This is the first game I ever completed, and I've done it twice, with lots of other playthroughs mixed in there too. At first I thought I wouldn't like the graphics, but I actually found them surprisingly charming. I love designing my character, planning out my farm, exploring the world, and working out how to earn money and achievements. And the thing that keeps me coming back to Stardew again and again are the mods. There's so many out there. Not supported in-game like they are in RimWorld, but not too hard to manage yourself with Smappy, which is what I call a parent mod that manages all the other mods. I keep coming up with ideas for new themes of playthroughs based on different mods. At the moment I'm in the middle of a witchy story. And there's some mods I can't live without, like Stardew Valley Expanded, which adds so much depth, and the Combat Made Easy suite that nerfs the baddies just enough to help me feel confident in battle. Yes, I'm a wimp when it comes to combat in most games. Now, this is not to say the original game without mods is bad, it is amazing, but mods are like the frosting on top, and they allow me to keep changing the game to keep it novel for my ADHD. I also like making content for Stardew, which you'll see on my channel. I hope to make more in the future. I have a list of video ideas for when I get back into it. Narrowly making it past Stardew Valley to number 2 is Planet Zoo with 1092.4 hours. I spent over a year completely dedicated to Planet Zoo over any other game. The depth of decorating in this game is phenomenal, but there's also a management side to it which can add some flavour when you're tired of decorating. You'll see here some builds I've made in my time playing. I also have quite a few things up on the workshop. I am Goanna Woman on Steam, by the way, because Hannah Goanna, you know. Anyway, Planet Zoo has a lot of replayability because you can come up with so many different themes and plans for zoos. I've started so many, but I am ashamed to say I have never finished a zoo. I have made many zoos with several animal enclosures, but I always have plans for a lot more when I get bored of that theme and have to move on. It's very frustrating for me, I must admit. The zoo I'm most proud of design-wise has only 3 habitats, and I planned so many more for that zoo, planned it in detail, put down the roads and everything in advance. This is an example of why I can get very annoyed with myself with my ADHD at times. Despite that, I did get a lot of enjoyment out of Planet Zoo. I especially like the natural side to it, choosing the animals and designing their habitats. I have tried Planet Coaster too, which just came out, but I'm not really into coasters and rides and such. I miss the animals, so I'm not sure that I'll get into that game much. I might have to wait for Planet Zoo 2. The top prize for game number 1 goes to the Sims franchise. I have played over 2,000 hours of The Sims 4, but I have also played lots and lots of Sims 2 and 3. I was once so obsessed that I didn't play any other game for over a decade, until I finally grew tired of the franchise in The Sims 4. Sims is the mother of all my cozy games, my original love. The Sims got me through some very bad times with my mental health. It was the only thing that completely immersed me away from the horror in my own mind. I honestly credit it with saving my life, though of course there were many other factors in why I survived that time too. I obsessed over Sims 2, then loved Sims 3 even more, then loved Sims 4 even more than that. I usually played rotational, so I had whole neighbourhoods of Sims, over 20 families in one save file, that I would rotate between every week so that they all progressed together and interacted with each other. Each family had their own aspirations, careers and goals. It was very immersive and required a lot of enjoyable planning. I have pages and pages of notes for that save. But while Sims 2 and Sims 3 were only out for a set time before they were replaced by the sequel game, Sims 4 has been out for what feels like forever. And despite all the expansion packs that keep adding new flavour to the game, the base game is still a large part of it, and I eventually grew tired of it. I have had about a 3-year break from The Sims, and at first it left me sad and frustrated, because I lost a safe space, and I had to find new safe spaces in new games. None of the other games in this list have come close to being a safe space for as long as this one, and sometimes it's scary realising that my latest game is no longer stimulating me and I need to find a new one. But I am so happy to say that in the last few weeks I have finally gotten back into Sims 4. I have not gone back into my rotational play save though. I am starting fresh, doing some challenges I have found and some I have come up with for myself. And I am doing some designing and building too. One thing Sims 4 has is an amazing building system where all the packs add so many variations of things to decorate with. I have some of my own favourite builds up on the gallery. Search for Sledgehammer AU. I have ideas for Sims videos for the channel too. I don't think it will be like the old days when I played Sims exclusively for years, but I hope it will join my group of cozy games that I can rotate between, and I would also like to dive further into the large mod scene for Sims 4. That was my top 10 favourite games of all time. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you so much if you watched all the way through. I hope it gives you some insight into how disability can interact with gaming, and maybe it even connects with your own experience. Let me know in the comments what you think. Also let me know if you'd like to see a video of the games that I haven't enjoyed. I'm not sure if that is a video people will want to see, so please tell me your thoughts. And please consider liking and subscribing. Thank you, bye for now.